This is Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing. You are watching Sporting Icons. You don't need to be anywhere else.
All right, Colin, good to see you. How's everything, my man?
Everything's good. We're here for Neil for his fight tomorrow night, boxing match. I'm looking forward to it.
Now, that's actually going to be my first question with Willa. He's not a professional athlete, like a professional fighter and anything like that. But with your background, you've probably got loads of people asking you to train him. What made you say, you know what, I don't mind training Willa?
You got to get on with people. So I remember I used to manage a nightclub years ago, and I didn't want to look at the CV. I'd meet them for a coffee, and I'd hang out for half an hour, and see if I could get on with the person, because we can figure out the drinks things later, but I can't figure out whether I'm going to get on with you or not. So if we're going to get on, and I was out on a bike ride by chance, and we bumped into each other, and we just got on. And in that, we liked each other, stayed in contact, and then all of a sudden, he's doing a fight, I was training Conor, and then he said he was doing another fight, so I offered to give him some help if he wanted it, and he took me up on the offer.
It's a hell of a good cause as well, though, isn't it, for grieving parents?
Yeah, you got to get yourself motivated in life, and what a good way to do it, to find a new sport, get motivated, have a plan, and have a competition at the end, because you can do anything, and then if you don't have a competition at the end or a goal to go for, it doesn't have the same kind of thing about it. But he has a little goal to go for, and it's been an honour being part of it, to be honest with you. And he's got a great work ethic, which is a couple of things. Are you coachable, and have you got a good work ethic? They'd be the first two things you'd look for, and he's got both. So
now, he's a hell of a lad, and obviously he's done it before, so he's not new to it, but he is actually fighting for a title, so it's going to have a little bit more meaning for him in this one.
Yeah, it's nice to have something you can stick on the wall. And we've looked at tape of the other guy as well, so we've come up with a plan, because, like I say, he's new to the sport of boxing, so there's so much in the art of boxing, so let's find something that works and stick to that. So we've been working on certain shots, certain combinations that suit him, that he can move with, and that we can do on the night and make it look beautiful. That's what you want it to look nice as well. It's the art of boxing. It's not just two lads going in and throwing windmills at each other. Make it look a bit pretty, make it look beautiful, make it look like the art deserves, and that just comes from drilling and doing the work.
Well, I was quite surprised when I see his weigh-in face-off. The guy's an absolute unit. He's huge.
He's big, he's tall. I wouldn't say he's a unit, he's tall. So, there's certain advantages to being tall, but there's also certain disadvantages to being tall. So we look to exploit the disadvantages of being tall.
Now, this isn't exactly your first time in Newcastle, is it? You want to tell everybody about your last time?
I was here for Stag's night, and they found out it was a stag, so they sent us off somewhere else. But but I've been here a few times before, and it's an energetic town, to say the least, right?
It certainly is. Okay, so while we're here, any news on Conor?
Yeah. What sort of news would you like?
Fight news, any kind of news.
Well, he's training, so there's a plan, and there's an opponent, which is Chandler. We did the Ultimate Fighter. I was coaching on that, and it's with these types of fights, there's a lot that goes into. They're mega fights, and like a Conor fight's a mega fight. It's not just about anybody else. Chandler's going to make more in one night than he's done in his whole career. Vegas makes a ton of money when Conor fights. It's an event. So these things have to be managed well and make sure everything's in play and everything's good, and set a date and put in the work and get it done. So we haven't got a date yet, but it's going to happen. This year, next year. There's not really a date on it yet, but it will be soon enough. Yeah.
Well, it must be hard for someone like Conor, obviously like you know him well, to come from pretty much rags to riches. Is it hard for him to get up in the morning and have the same motivation that he used to have, do you think?
You got to remember what got you to the races: the love of the sport, the love of training, the love of fitness, and it's easy to keep that going. It's easy to kind of if you love doing something, you're going to do it, right? It's what comes with the game of the fight game, because it's not at that level to what it was. It's not just fighting anymore. Fighting is a very small part of it. It's the press, it's the sponsors, it's all the obligations you got to do, all the kind of sound bites in 15 different languages, tuning in for the mid-fight in between, the stuff that nobody sees. It's all that stuff that comes along with it, the travel, organising teams, organising people, and there's a lot in it. It's a big organisation, you know. There's a lot of people employed by McGregor Sports and Entertainment, and to get that thing on the road, it's a big thing, you know. So
now, being a guy who's well into your combat sports along with cycling and that as well, obviously there's a fight coming up, Tyson Fury, Francis Ngannou. Do you give Francis Ngannou any shot at beating him?
Yeah, he's a powerful man. It's boxing, you know. It's like, I think things have changed since the Conor Mayweather fight. But before that, we didn't have anything like that. And now you've got a lot of different people fighting, YouTubers fighting boxers, and Mayweather fighting YouTubers and things like that. And it's become very common for that crossover. Ngannou's a big man and knows how to punch. But he's fighting a different rule set and a game, so it'll always favour the boxer, and the longer the fight goes, it'll always favour the boxer because he knows the game longer, he's more experienced in it. But for me, a guy like that, his advantage comes in the first 4 rounds, where he can catch him with something awkward before he starts to set down patterns, and then the patterns get read, and then he gets caught. But the first few rounds where he's an MMA fighter, so he's going to move different to a boxer, to different dance. He's going to have different patterns that he's not going to recognise. But eventually Tyson will recognise, if it goes 5, 6, 7, 8 rounds, he'll start to recognise the patterns and then she'll catch him. But the first few rounds are very dangerous for Tyson.
Although, speaking of which, there was actually talk, well, I don't know how serious the talk got, between Conor and Carl Froch.
Really? Like once you mention him, you're on the press. So there's, like, if you mention him and you get a response from him, you're gonna. The world revolves around how much you're being up on people's news feeds, how much you're relevant, how much people are talking about you, and if you call out Conor, you're going to get some press. So it's a smart move on anyone's, you know, whether the fight happens or not, to call him out, because if you get a response from him, because sometimes he responds, all of a sudden you're the talk of the town, and is it not, and it gets your name up there. And that's really why most people do it. Not that they ever think they're going to fight him.
Although Carl did say that he'll fight Conor in the cage, which I think is a suicide move, but especially with his new nose.
Well, they say it, but it's different when you get in there. And then if you even went to a normal MMA gym and trained with, you know, average guys, you're going to find how much you really need to learn. It just takes so long that you're not going to do it in 6 months or a year, you know.
Anyway, so now you're based out in Portugal. Are you missing the rain of not here in Newcastle, but Ireland?
It was raining on the way in. The plane couldn't land because it was raining so heavy. Yeah. You know what? Sometimes you do. You know, when it's every day there's no clouds in the sky. Sometimes when you see a couple of clouds, it's kind of cool. So I don't mind it. Don't mind the change. I tell you what works well. If you stay in one place for too long, you start to hate it. If you eat chocolate every day, you'll start to hate it. So for life, for me, it's bouncing around, going to a place for a while, going to another place for a while. And my life for the last few years has been just been on the road, getting to see different places, and every time I go back to Portugal a little bit more. But if I stay there for too long, then you start to kind of, you know, think the grass is greener. But when you go away, come back, for me, you know, it's hard to beat it. I love the place. It's the freedom of the place.
And what keeps you motivated to do what you do?
I enjoy it. You know, what else am I going to do? It's what I do. It's what I've always done. It's like from an early background, like even from when I was a kid, we used to run on the streets, we race each other around the block, play football. Like I don't think there's a day where I don't train. Like every day I do something, and I just love it. You know, it gives me, especially skill-based stuff, like going to the gym and just lifting. It's okay, but it's not really a skill to a certain extent. But then if you go and learn like jiu-jitsu or MMA, then you're learning a skill. You're not doing an aerobics class, or I started doing Olympic lifting, and that's another skill. And I like learning different things and seeing people who are, you know, profound in that or excellent in that, and trying to master those things. And at the start, you can't really see what the invisible bit is. You can't really see. It looks the same to you, and then after a while, you start to see how good they are compared to you. So, yeah, I just like learning new shit, you know.
Well, I think Willa said something about your partner. She's going to be doing some kind of competition soon.
Yeah, she's an Olympic lifter, phenomenal lifter. and we're doing the British Championships in 2 weeks' time. So yeah, it's great being around high-level athletes. It's just to see they're just different, you know. They're just built different. They do have a different mentality. When you see like elite of any sport, even in life, people that are, you know, anyone can be a millionaire, but not many people can be a billionaire. You know, anyone can run a marathon, but not many people can run like sub 2.5. You know, it's like they're just different. And when you see it and you understand it, it's just like it stands out a lot. You know, so I like being around people who are exceptional. It pushes me on more, right? So.
Okay, and can Katie Taylor and will Katie Taylor win, get revenge over Chantal Cameron?
Makes sense. It was a good fight. It was a very close fight. It makes sense for those. Well, who else are they going to fight, you know? So in the women's divisions, there's not too many elite levels. A lot of variance between the levels of women's boxing, whereas in men, there's so many guys do it. There's a lot more people in the pool. You're always going to get very short differences between people, whereas in the women's, even in MMA, you'll get, you know, a couple at the top that are super elite and then a few that are making up the numbers. And I think to rerun a fight like that makes a lot of sense. It's for everybody, you know. It was a close one. You could flip a coin and, you know, who gets it next time you don't know. So, and it's exciting. It's good for them too.
I mean, it's good that you like all combat sports. Is MMA, would you choose that over boxing?
Yeah, I just like I think it's more like there's more artistry in it. There's more expression in it. There's more things you can do. There's more things to learn. With boxing, you're very limited in the rule set. Same with jiu-jitsu, you're very limited in the ground game. Whereas the expression of that free-flowing from one to another and having to learn all that and put it all together, I think there's some beauty in that as well. And you know, it's a new sport relatively. And yeah, I just love it. And
when are you going to have a go at it again?
Well, do you know, I was thinking
is there like another coach out there you want to call out?
I was thinking of doing see, this day and age is great because you can compete at any age. There's always, before it was like the 30, finished, wrapped up, do something else, get fat and be 40, you know. And now there's so many people that are just training and doing different things that you can compete at any age with a bunch of guys that want to compete at the same level. That's all you got to do. Like, compete is, you just got to compete with people who are at the same level. So I was thinking of doing a couple of things this year, which was like a no-gi grappling competition, and then a gravel bike race, because yeah, just like it's an off-road. Yeah, it's on a racing bike, but it's off-road. I like the idea of it. So just choose one that's not ultra distance, have a bit of fun, and just enjoy the competition. Because like say, if you're just training all the time and nothing to do, it gets a little bit tedious after a while. So if you've got a goal, so you can set out a plan and the way you're doing it, and you go for that goal, it makes it more enjoyable. So I'd like to do any competition, but just MMA competition, no. I think MMA for me now wouldn't be because you got to pay the piper, right? And it's hard on the body and it's dangerous, and this thing's got to get me another few years before it fucking packs in. So as it is, I'm paying the price. What's that?
Misfits boxing.
I might actually, like Crumlin Boxing Gym, Conor's gym, were asking me to do a boxing match. I wouldn't mind doing a boxing match.
So shall I call up Callis Allen for you and get you on?
No, just like someone around, you know, my level of being shit, you know. So like, you know, but it's just, I wouldn't mind doing that either, you know. But it's a case of just like, it's got to be fun, and it's got to be something that's not going to damage me and wreck me. Whereas when you're 20, you just think you're unbreakable anyway. We now realise that, you know, paying the price for all the years of being battered. So it's kind of a case of now it's having fun with it, not getting too wrecked, and just enjoying it.
Well, I should certainly keep an eye out for what it is that you do next. Colin, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Brilliant.